And I think that that's also because it's very symbolic, because that is really the turning point of time. So before Christ, the incarnation of Christ in Jesus at the mystery of Golgotha, as Rudolf Steiner would say it, we see the earth being in a different condition. And how I see that is that at the center of the earth was really a black sun force. And that had brought humanity through involution and kind of materializing to where they were. But the turning point of time, which is also the crucifixion in esoteric Christianity, where the Christ enters Jesus and they perform the task of basically liberating humanity. When that happens, there's an immediate shift. There's a complete shift to the earth, and there's a fast shift to humanity, where now suddenly all of the processes that were external, like in different pagan rites and stuff, you used to have to call on this, call on that, whatever, all those processes were now inside operational in humanity. You just had to learn to observe them. So the kingdom of heaven was truly within, and we were operating at a different level at that point. And the inside of the earth began to become a star or a sun. And we begin to spiritualize out of matter into ether, right? And so it's that process that's very difficult for us psychologically. It's being a people that is focused on external things all through Lemuria, all through Atlantis, all through the pre-Christ era. It was we would like get out of our bodies and project into things. We were an externalized. We were spiritually externalizing all the time. And then suddenly when we come into Christ, it's it's a different process. But to move through the eye of the needle, you have to kind of go through certain processes, spiritual initiations, to understand it. And there can be a lot of pain with that, because again, it's a total shift. It's a shift that happened to the earth. It's a shift that's so cosmically, and it's a shift that happened within the human form. And there's psychological processes that have to go on to adapt that. So in other words, like, understanding Christ is not an intellectual act. You don't understand Christ. This is why I've spoken repeatedly about, if people start coming out with these weird documents that were just pulled up from the bottom of the ocean, or some weird cave somewhere, or some library somewhere, that reveal the truth of Jesus and the truth of Christ, throw that in the trash. And of course, AI is probably reading it, right? So throw that in the trash, because you do not know Christ. You do not know Jesus through knowledge, through logic, through a record. That is not how you know him. You know him through the reality that he is within your heart. And that, I think, is what is hard. Because we want things to be, I just read this script, I just read this lost document, I just read this story. That is spirituality. Knowledge alone is not spirituality. It's not going to initiate you. You have to actually connect with the great being of the cosmos itself, which is the Christ, which is now within you. That is initiation. That is spirituality, period. It is not a logical process. It's not written. It is a process. It is a being that is within you. It is the essence that is within you. It is you. It's a quiet process that only you can come to know, which is why people will come to Christ and they'll have an experience with Christ, and they can't explain it, but their life has changed, because it's not an external thing. And only when you've had that, sometimes spontaneously, but sometimes through prayer and opening to it, do you get it. Because it's not an external thing. It's an internal thing that can't even really be properly described, but can be known. And so this is why also a lot of things about Christ's life and Jesus are just not talked about or not known, because the whole point of it, the whole point of Christianity is to know it within, and to see that Anthroposophy is within you, that Christ is within you. That is there. And to be able to operate from that place. So in this way, I think the Theosophists and many people struggled with it because it's really a process. It's not like an equation that you crack. It's not coming from the intellectual soul, as you would say. It's not coming from the intellect. You can't like intellectualize to understand Jesus or Christ or even Buddha. Okay, this is not an intellectual. The intellect or the logical mind is the last place to get spiritual insight. To think that we're going to begin there is crazy. So in other words, really to understand Christ, you have to have an experience. And that is one of the mysteries of life. Why do some people have it and other people don't? That is the mystery within that person's soul. That's what I would say.